What's going on, guys? Killer6 back with the first look at AMARA'S new skill tree, and this one is really good. But before we get into the actual skill tree, I want to point out something that's coming for all of you guys, whether you buy this DLC or not. You don't have to buy the DLC to get this. This is free. Mayhem 11. You can now switch to Mayhem 11, get rid of all the modifiers, and it is the exact same as Mayhem 10 in terms of the health, armor, and shield of enemies, and your drops are going to be in Mayhem 10. And thank God, man, I am so sick of death skulls. I'm so sick of buddy systems, all these things that just basically slow down the fun of the Mayhem 10 playthrough. So now Mayhem 11 is here, and thank God. And again, this is free to everybody. You don't have to buy anything. This will come to you free when this content drops on November the 10th. All right, so with that, let's get back into the build. All right, so first and foremost, let's cover the action skill itself. It's called Phase Flare. Amara summons an orb of elemental energy that deals constant elemental damage to nearby enemies. Pressing the R3 button near the orb causes it to fly forward towards an enemy and then damage them. Additionally, every time Amara uses a melee attack on the orb, it gains increased damage based on the damage she dealt to it. Pressing L1 causes the orb to return to Amara. Now, that wording is weird. Pressing L1 doesn't cause the orb to return to you, like ending the action skill return to you. It causes the orb to move forward to wherever you're at. So let's say you cast an orb at the beginning of the map and then you run forward, say 50 yards. Well, you press L1, the orb will fly toward where you're at. It's a cool way to like keep the action skill moving with you, I will say that. The impact damage is listed as 7,205, area damage 1,441 per second, duration 30 seconds, and cooldown 48 seconds. Now, the impact damage and area damage, again, those are increased by Mayhem scaling. So if you're on Mayhem 10, then obviously those numbers are kind of just placeholders essentially, and Mayhem scaling bumps it up from there. All right, so let's get into the actual skills themselves here. Up first, we got Trust in Yourself. Whenever an enemy breaks Amara's shield, she gains increased reload speed, charge speed, and weapon swap speed for a short time. This effect is doubled if Amara's shield is broken by a melee attack. Reload speed 4%, charge speed 8%, weapon swap speed 16%, and duration is 24 seconds. And honestly, in my opinion, this one is not really worth the 5 points, even though you're going to increase your reload speed and charge speed if you're using Mal 1 weapons. Weapon swap speed, you know, in the way that I'm going to show you how I use the build, I have no use for this skill whatsoever, but there's going to be people out there that are going to love it. So up next, No Mistakes in Nature. Whenever Amara inflicts a status effect on an enemy, she gains increased melee damage for a short time. The melee damage is increased by 65%, and this lasts for 12 seconds. And in case you don't know about Amara, she loves to inflict status effects on enemies. So this is basically a free 65% melee damage bonus. Also, if you have the orb out there and it's hitting people, then you're getting your melee damage. Up next, Heavy Rain. Amara's weapons gain increased projectile speed and splash damage. Projectile speed can go up as high as 70%, splash damage 35%, and you know, splash damage in this game is really strong. Up next, we got Ebb and Flow. Whenever Amara kills an enemy with a melee attack, she gains a portion of the damage dealt back as health. So, killing an enemy with melee, you're going to get up to 63% of your damage dealt back to you as health if you max this thing out. Up next, we got Unweave the Rainbow. Amara deals bonus damage of her attuned element whenever she deals melee damage or splash damage to frozen enemies. And in case you guys did not know, when you freeze enemies, they take more melee damage. And that's going to be important when we cover her augments here in a minute too. We'll get into that here in a second. Up next, Go with the Flow. Whenever Amara freezes an enemy, she gains increased movement speed and weapon damage for a short time. This one is good if you're not really focused so much on melee. If you're doing melee, then the movement speed parts are great, but the weapon damage obviously isn't so much, so just keep that in mind. Up next, Combo Breaker. Killing an enemy with melee damage has a chance to reset Amara's action skill cooldown. It is a 1 in 5 chance that your action skill cooldown will get reset with a melee kill. For a single point, having a 1 in 5 chance to reset your action skill on a melee, pretty damn good. Up next, we got Joyful Freedom. After activating her action skill, Amara gains increased melee damage for a short time. This one maxes out at 70% and lasts for 12 seconds. So that's really good. All you got to do to activate this is just have your action skill up. It's very strong. Up next, burn both ends. After activating her action skill, Amara gains increased threat for a short time, drawing the attention of all enemies in a huge radius. Whenever Amara is dealt damage by an enemy, she gains increased damage for a short time, and this effect stacks. Now, this thing can be good, and with 5 points in it, you're going to get some pretty good damage when you multiply it by the number of stacks that you get. So if you're doing melee, this might be worth putting 5 out of 5 in, because you're gonna get all the enemies nice and close to you, and you can just start spamming your melee around and just wrecking people's face. Up next, body and mind kill skill. Amara's melee attacks deal bonus splash damage for a short time. Splash damage 2,925 and duration is 12 seconds. And again, Mayhem scaling makes that much higher. Up next, free the soul kill skill. Whenever Amara kills a frozen enemy, splinters fly out from that enemy, home into nearby enemies, dealing cryo damage. The skill has a short cooldown. Damage 9,480 and cooldown is 3 seconds. Up next, Atman. Amara gains increased skill damage, and with 3 points in this thing, you can get that stacked up pretty good, and skill damage for Amara can be very strong. And then finally, the capstone is Clear the Mind, a kill skill. After killing an enemy, Amara ignores enemies' elemental damage resistance for a short time. This does not affect elemental immunity, and the duration is 8 seconds. I'll be honest with you guys, I'm not real jazzed about this capstone, so I'm not going to use it. Maybe somebody out there will find some way to like really make this OP, but to me, just ignoring elemental damage resistance is not really something that's that important to me, and I'm focused on melee with this new tree myself, so I don't even really care about their elemental resistance most of the time. All right, now with that, let's cover the augments. First of all, we got glow up. Now the ones on this side over here, these 3 augments on the left hand side will all replace your basic phase flare. So glow up, instead of splash damage being applied to enemies, the orb will grant nearby allies health regeneration. You can also press R3 and melee the orb to send it toward a downed ally to give them a second win. So if you're playing with friends, this could be used almost like a res from Maya from Borderlands 2. You just got to aim it properly, hit a teammate, and boom, they are back into the fight. Up next is Shooting Star. Amara deals a orb of elemental energy that deals constant elemental damage to nearby enemies. Pressing R3 near the orb causes it to fly forwards toward an enemy and damage them, which also increases the amount of overall damage that the orb deals to enemies. Additionally, the elemental orb continually fires elemental projectiles at the last enemy that Amara damaged. Pressing L1 will cause the orb to return to Amara. This, in my opinion, is possibly the best option amongst all these, because again, you can punch this thing, build up the energy on it, send it toward enemies, have it follow you around, and it throws out those extra elemental projectiles at the last enemy that you damaged, so it's very, very strong. I like this one a lot. And finally, for the skill augments that you can change out is Light Fantastic. Amara summons an orb of elemental energy that deals constant elemental damage to nearby enemies. Whenever Amara damages an enemy, the elemental orb automatically travels to that enemy. Whenever Amara kills an enemy, the elemental orb gains increased damage. Pressing L1 will again cause the orb to follow you around. This one can be good, but if you're doing pure melee, then you're basically going to be pressing L1 to have the orb follow you constantly anyhow, so I wouldn't worry too much about this one. But I don't know, somebody out there is probably gonna be like, dude, that's way better. And if so, great. Do what feels good to you, but I'm gonna show you how strong my build is with this thing, and then that might change your tune. All right, up next, in terms of the other things that you can do here, you got Cold Hearted. So as you guys know, Amara has the option to put on either fire as your element type, corrosive as your element type, or if you turn off all of your elements, then it defaults to shock. Well, now she has the option to also use cryo, and cryo, obviously, when you freeze enemies, they take higher melee damage. So that makes this a really good combination with a melee build. The other option is expedite. Whenever you kill an enemy with your action skill, you gain increased action skill cooldown rate until she activates her action skill again. Now, the cool thing about Amara is you can swap this thing out. You can swap out expedite for, say, allure, or you can swap it out for revelation. Revelation is really good, especially for mobbing, and that allows you to have some other options instead of just being stuck in one tree like flak is, for example. This does give you 30% per enemy killed, which is a nice way to keep your action skill going pretty non-stop. That said, both allure and revelation with this build that I'm doing will be really good as well. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to use revelation to show you what this build is capable of today. As you can see, this is the skill tree that I'm going to go with here. And if you want, you can always pause and take a look at the skills that I'm using. With my class mod, I do have some points in late bear. And unlike Borderlands 2, in Borderlands 3, if you have a class mod and it gives you bonuses to a skill, even if you haven't gone down the tree to get that skill, you still get those points. That still works. This skill right here is still working for me, even though I'm not spec'd down there. And likewise with my other skill, Illuminated Fist, even though I've only got 1 point in this, the class mod gives me another 3 points, and that is exactly what it sounds like. That's just how this thing works for whatever reason. So in terms of the gear that I'm going to use here, I'm going to use a 300/90 Psycho Stabber. I've also got an action skill in melee increased Psycho Stabber, and then just for getting out a fight for my life, I've got some face punchers. I'm not going to use those that much, even though they're very strong and there's nothing wrong with using them. I just don't want to hear people complain that I'm using those. I'm also using a Brawler Ward, which gives me double Roid on this roll that I got here, which is 300% melee damage while your shield is depleted, 25% weapon damage while your shield is depleted, which isn't as important. I do get 2% of max health per second while shields are active. The effect doubles while shields are depleted. Also using a Fish Slap Grenade. This is from the Cartels event, and even though it's only level 57, this grenade does melee damage, and it does really good melee damage, and you'll see that here in just a moment. In terms of the other stuff I'm using, again, the Muse class mod. This one has melee damage, action skill cooldown rate, and then we're going to rock a White Elephant, I think, for the most part. Or we could use a Pearl of Ineffable Knowledge, or we could use the Unleash the Dragon. Unleash the Dragon is going to be great for general mobbing, but when we get to the big bosses, we'll want to swap that out. So let's start with that. All right, let's dive in. So as you can see, the melee damage that you're going to do is exceptional. It's just absolutely exceptional. It's a true melee build for the first time in this game. You were able to do some things with melee before, but generally it was like, okay, well, we're using the face puncher, and it's not really melee. Even though the face puncher deals melee damage, it never just felt right, you know what I mean? But here's what the Fish Slap is capable of, in case you're wondering. There's a easy 42 million with our skill tree and our class mod and our artifact and all that good stuff. It all stacks together to do massive amounts of melee damage. And let's go ahead and use our orb here so you guys can see this thing in action. And again, you freeze enemies, they take more damage, and you can press L1 to have your orb follow you, so that when you go and fight another group of dudes, then the orb is there with you. It does get affected by obstacles in the way. All right, so we're about to have some bots here, so we're actually going to switch. I'll leave the cryo on, but I want to switch out the Unleash the Dragon for the Cryostone White Elephant. And the reason for that is just because, oops, I just hit the outside of the barrier and killed myself. That was slick as hell. But melee override gets the job done. We'll throw a Fish Slap here at the Kraken, and boom, he's dead. Just like that. That's all it takes, man. And then you can bust open the legs with 1 melee each, in case you're wondering about that, and pop open the top. So yeah, that's how well this build works, man. I hope you guys enjoyed this first look at AMARA'S new skill tree. It makes it so you can truly do some actual true melee damage in Borderlands 3, and it's a lot of fun to play around with. So I hope you guys enjoy this tree as much as I do. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, tap the bell icon to be notified anytime I post a new video. If you want to, let me know down in the comment section below, what skills did I cover that you think are really cool? What things do you think that maybe I could switch this thing up with and do better? There's a lot of things that I can do different in this build. This is just basically my first iteration at this. Wanted to play around with it and have some fun. As you can see, we did a lot of damage. So curious to see your thoughts on this as well, though, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Y'all have a great day.